bought some acreage out to put horses on so we wouldn't have to board them. And as a result, it became a whole more work than we thought it was going to be. You have to move water troughs, trim limbs during the winter and in the spring. You have to clean out the bedding twice a year, removing all the bedding out of the stalls and putting it all back in. Really, with just a regular wheelbarrow, that's almost impossible. With the DR Power Wagon, we load all the bedding in the wagon, we roll it through the back door of the stall, pull the little dump lever, done. It's very easy. It's a whole new world for us. I love it. I love it.
We are sitting here on a terminal moraine from the last glacier that came down during the ice ages.
He's a scientist.
I'm a scientist, so I need to get into all this. And because of that, the land we've got is really poor. It's not the sort of land that anybody would ever have farmed in their right mind, ever.
We try to garden and raise farm animals on it anyway.
And the one thing about the DR Power Wagon that I was really concerned on, because there are lots of ups and downs, lots of hills, lots of really kind of nasty terrain here to go over, was how it did with rocks. And it turns out the DR Power Wagon is really good for moving over rocks because it's got a very narrow wheelbase, and so you don't get jammed up on things. When you stop and think about it, and think of all the different kinds of gardening, moving devices that exist, the DR Power Wagon is a unique device. There's nothing like it, because when you think it's not like a garden tractor, it's not like an ATV or anything, it is a motorized, mechanized wheelbarrow. And it's just a really useful device.
It's also fun. It's also a lot of fun to use.
Fun to drive, yeah.
When we bought this property, we dreamed of building our home site here. This is our retirement home. It's going to be our last home. We wanted a place in the woods. We wanted the quiet. We wanted the stars. The DR Power Wagon has made it possible to do work without opening up roads into the lower parts of our property. We've cleared trails down there. We've moved rocks. We built a little dam in the creek where we've got a little cascade that just makes this beautiful sound. So we're going to be able to sit and prop ourselves back and just enjoy the sound of nature. I just love it. I love it. It's great.
I'm not in the least surprised when folks like Mr. Miller, who have given the DR Power Wagon a try, absolutely love it. I know how they feel. Hi, I'm Dave Carr, and I'm here in the factory showroom at Country Home Products, where the DR Power Wagon is manufactured. Of all the products we make, the Power Wagon is my favorite, and yet it's probably the least well known. I think that's because it's unique. Most people have never tried or even seen anything like it, and as a result, we hear the same questions over and over from folks who are interested in it. They almost always ask whether it really has enough power to haul 800 pounds. They wonder whether they'll find enough uses for it on their property. And they wonder, frankly, whether it's worth the price. My guess is you have some of these same questions yourself. So first, let's compare haulers, and then we'll visit with some folks who have given the Power Wagon a try and see what they've discovered.
Before we purchased the DR Power Wagon, we really didn't have much. I had a garden cart that I had ordered for other purposes, and I tried it. It really didn't do the job at all. I couldn't manage it. I couldn't get it up the hills. If it had any kind of load on it at all, there was just no way to move it. It'd get hung up in the trees when we tried to get off the trails. The difference between using the DR Power Wagon and my garden cart is like comparing a pickup truck to a rickshaw.
I've always enjoyed doing the work. It's just very hard when you load anything into a wheelbarrow out here. We're in sand, and the wheelbarrow would sink, and there you were. You couldn't push it any further. So I needed something that was powered, and until you use something that just pulls your load along, you don't realize the amount of effort and time that you've been putting in with wheelbarrows and little wagons behind the tractor.
I decided to solve this bank problem I had with weeds growing and dying on the summer months on it. I decided to put cobblestone on the bank. I started the project with only a construction wheelbarrow and a four-wheel drive Kubota tractor that had the front loader on it. I originally started out carrying some rocks down. I've come up with the big idea to build a chute, roll them down the bank into the chute, but a couple of rocks bounced out of the chute and went all the way down the road. And I thought, well, lawsuit city, so I decided not to do it that way. And the Power Wagon has saved me a lot of aching hands and back, and possibly even from lawsuits from cobblestone rolling down to the road.
I thought for a while then about getting some kind of an ATV vehicle with a wagon on the end but you know, while that could go over the hills well enough, up and down, you know, when you've got a little cart on the back, it's not going to be working all that well.
And he was going to break his neck with it. I didn't think that was going to be the safest approach.
The nice thing about the DR Power Wagon is it's has the good features of a garden cart and a wheelbarrow, and it's also in front of you so that you've really got a lot more control.
The last thing you want to experience is feeling out of control while hauling a heavy load. The DR Power Wagon is designed to safely transport up to 800 pounds over practically any terrain with just a 6-horsepower engine. The load is placed over the powered wheels, so the heavier the load, the better the traction, even in soft or soggy areas.
The Power Wagon works quite well on uneven terrain. In fact, that's the major reason, the only reason I bought it, because I need something to be able to go down slopes, up slopes, and in Willits we get a fair amount of rain, over 50 inches a year, and so I'm then working in sometimes muddy conditions. And with the all-terrain tires, they work quite well.
I hauled at least 30 tons of cobblestone in the Power Wagon, and probably about 20 tons of cement in the Power Wagon. And since I have another 150 feet of wall to build yet, I think the Power Wagon will last through the whole project quite well.
Because of the power it has, we've been able to haul rocks, blocks, logs, things that we couldn't carry, both uphill and downhill. When you come to a steep hill, you downshift, keeps right on going. I've had my DR Power Wagon in mud so deep that the rear wheel was actually up to the axle. I just downshifted and it just keep on going. Come out muddy, but we got out.
The DR Power Wagon runs in mud and snow and just about everything. It's really, really good that way. With the all-terrain tires, they look like things on an all-terrain vehicle, and they dig in, and you can go through some pretty nasty mud and snow very, very easily.
When we cut limbs in the pasture and things, we have to go first through this real deep sandy area, and it just plows right through it.
And these are areas that you could not get a wheelbarrow through, even if you wanted to.
No. Been stuck there many times.
Well, the thing is, when you move big rocks and you build a wall, it gives you a great amount of pleasure and satisfaction. They always say the men that have the greatest job satisfaction are people who operate heavy machinery, and I would say that's probably true. And some of the most satisfying jobs that I've done around here have been done with the DR Power Wagon, because I can move things that I normally wouldn't have been able to move before.
Yeah, you get a sense of accomplishment that you can actually see that you actually changed something. It's nice to be able to see a project.
A project is what most people have in mind when they start to research alternative methods of how to work around their property. We receive letters from folks all over the country who say they intended to use the DR for one goal and then are surprised to find that they found so many more uses. It actually ends up paying for itself in no time because they no longer have to subcontract the work.
The cost of the Power Wagon on paper, without actually seeing it being used, was a split issue with us. He thought it was a little bit expensive to be collecting dust in the barn, and I wanted to give it a try. So we ordered it, and as soon as it got here, got it running, and the next morning I was out bright and early doing chores that I usually have to wait for him to do. When the hay would come, I had to hire the boy down the road to come and help me put hay in the loft, to get hay stacked, to move it from the truck into the barn. When I got the DR Power Wagon, we could load up to 500 pounds on that wagon and take it from the truck to the hay loft, toss it in the hay loft, and go back and get another load. So when my husband came home from work at 6 o'clock, tired, I didn't go say, okay, now go load the hay in the barn.
I think it's going to pay directly for some part-time help that we used to get that we're not having to do anymore. And eventually it'll pay for itself in that way.
Our DR Power Wagon paid for itself within the first month that we owned it, just in the things that we did that if we'd had to hire them done, they would have cost us much more than we actually paid for this product. And we were able to do the work ourselves. We were able to do it the way we wanted. We had access without damaging the ecology of what we have down here. We use our DR Power Wagon. Last year we used it all the way around the calendar. There were projects going on all winter long.
Yes, I do use the Power Wagon more than I thought I would when I first considered buying it. I use it to haul firewood. When I cut the grass, I put the trimmings in it. Probably a week goes by that I don't use it.
I decided I wanted to have a garden. Particularly, I got interested in growing Japanese vegetables, strange vegetables that you couldn't buy in the Stop and Shop. So anyway, I decided to make a massive raised bed, and rather than to make it out of wood or anything, I decided that I'd build a stone wall around it and buy the dirt so we could have some good dirt on here, and then put it in this raised bed. So when I finally got around to doing it, I was really surprised with the Power Wagon that I could get all these rocks moved over there in a weekend.
I thought it would take him years to build this wall, as long to build it as it took him to plan it, but now we call it his one weekend wall. He blew me away. Couldn't believe it.
Whether you have large or small hauling chores, wet or dry material to transport, there is a DR Power Wagon that will do the job. Basically, there are two different DR sizes to which you can attach two different style beds. At the top of the line is the Pro model, which comes equipped with a 6 horsepower Tecumseh Vector engine, heavy-duty stake body, and gear-driven transmission with 4 speeds and power reverse. The Pro has a load capacity of 800 pounds. And is ideal for hauling large loads of firewood, dirt, gravel, rock, or building supplies. The controls are conveniently located at your fingertips with the throttle control, hand brake, and shift lever. And there's the removable tool tray, which is great for carrying pruners, your chainsaw, oil, gas, or any other work tool. The optional ride-on sulky has a foot bar, ball hitch, and simple quick lock. The molded body option replaces the standard stake body and is ideal for hauling loose materials like sand, topsoil, gravel, and compost, or for mixing and hauling cement, peat moss, and the like. High-impact UV stabilized polyethylene resists damage from stones, firewood, and the elements. The Suburban model DR Power Wagon is powered by a 4.5 horsepower Tecumseh Centura engine, comes with a large capacity molded body, and features 2 speeds forward and 1 reverse. The stake body option is also available. The Suburban has a load capacity of 500 pounds and is wonderfully maneuverable and easy to use for everyday hauling chores. Both DR Power Wagon models are equipped with either manual recoil starting or with optional electric starting engines, and comes with heavy-duty turf tread tires. The extra rugged all-terrain tires are optional and factory installed.
One of the things I like best about the DR Power Wagon is that we can take it into the trees and do work. I can turn it around inside its length. I can go places that I couldn't take any other kind of power equipment other than something you carry. The Power Wagon is so maneuverable with this swivel rear wheel that you can spot it with pinpoint accuracy and dump your load exactly where you want. There's a little lever over here that enables you to just tip the bed right up and everything just slides right out, right exactly where you want to put it.
If the parking brake works well, when you stop and want to park and walk away from it, it'll hold it in place. I use the brake very little going downhill because you select the right gear ratio and you don't need brakes. Since I've owned the Power Wagon, I've never had to even check the air in the tires. They seem to hold up quite well. No flat tires. Even with all the weight I've hauled in, it holds the tire pressure quite well.
Well, I'm about 5'1" tall or so, but I think I can use the DR Power Wagon every bit as well as he can. I like to let him think that it's a he-man tool, but really I use the DR Power Wagon every bit as well as he does.
You really do, huh?
Yeah.
I think the wonderful thing about the DR Power Wagon is that you can use it to your level of strength and abilities. That it is really good in making a big job easier.
We have both the beds that come with the Power Wagon and use both.
You can just switch it out real quickly. It's very simple. We have a good, unexpected story about the two horses right here. When we first got them, they had not been inoculated for their various things. Our vet came and did that. The one horse, Doc, became real stiff in the neck, and we noticed he couldn't put his head down to eat his hay. So we began looking for things around the barn to get the hay up off the ground. We tried various things, and all of a sudden my husband said, "The DR Power Wagon, go get it." So we went over and cranked it up and brought it out here and put the hay in it, and even set one of their water buckets in the little bucket provided for tools. They stood right there, ate, drank their water. It was perfect.
All DR models are covered by our exclusive 30-day trial, which allows you to test out the DR Power Wagon at your own home, risk-free. You can use the machine on your property, and if you're not 100% satisfied within 30 days of when you start using it, then return it at our expense for a full refund, including shipping both ways.
I think one thing about the DR Power Wagon is you read all the information on it, and then like so many of us do, you go looking for the price of it. We did that as well, but we decided with a 30-day free trial, get the DR Power Wagon, see if it's worth its money. Actually, we knew after the first week because we were both already saying, boy, what a good investment that was. This is going to be great. So if you can just get past that, get your 30-day thing going, I think most people, I can't imagine why somebody wouldn't be able to use one.
Buying the DR Power Wagon sight unseen was one of the biggest problems I had with getting around to buying it, because I wasn't sure whether the DR Power Wagon was going to be any use or not. So I was very reassured by the fact that they have your 30-day, no questions asked, money-back return policy, and that they'll pay for shipping.
The Power Wagon is made by Country Home Products, which is located in a small town in Vermont. We live the country life. So when you call us with questions, rest assured that we can help you decide what is right for you and your situation. Our business depends on our customers, and our customer service representatives are a friendly, knowledgeable staff who will make sure you're satisfied.
All of the dealings I've had with Country Home Products have been really, really friendly. They're like a company just down the road. I feel like I'm dealing with a family rather than in a big impersonal company.
Do you know which model you're interested in today?
When I first called Country Home Products to ask someone about the DR Power Wagon, I got a very nice gentleman on the phone.
What he was able to verify too that I was interested in was, when you get something out of catalog or something like that, and guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, you want a piece of machinery, is it something cheap or is it a piece of machinery? And he guaranteed us that it was a serious piece of machinery, and it has been. It's been real durable.
So why not try out a DR Power Wagon for yourself? Just give us a call at 1-800-711-7276, and one of our friendly customer service representatives will be happy to answer your questions and take your order. You can also visit us online at www.drpowerwagon.com and learn more about our 30-day trial. What have you got to lose? We are very proud of this revolutionary machine, designed solely for moving heavy, bulky loads with a minimum of strain and effort. There simply has never been anything like the DR Power Wagon. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
I've told all my friends about the DR Power Wagon. I've had people request to borrow it, but we've been too busy using it ourselves to really let somebody else use it. But I brag about this thing to everybody that has even the slightest interest in a product like this. Let them know that it's available, and they're more than welcome to come out to my place and try it.
Normally, I don't write a whole lot of letters, but I was so impressed with the DR Power Wagon that I had to write them a letter to tell them what a wonderful product they had. I mean, I really think that they are filling a unique role here. They've got a unique device that there's nothing else like it. And it can do jobs that I can't think of anything else that can do it for the price. So my money, the DR Power Wagon is the best thing going.